So, good morning, sir. Good morning, classmates. The topic that assigned to my group, it's all about market integration. So, we will discuss about the market integration. So, when you heard market integration, what comes in your mind? Or anong pumapasok na idea nyo about sa market integration? So, the objectives. During the student learning engagement, they will be able to first identify the international financial institution, examine the rules of each international financial institution in relation to the country economy, trace the history of global market integration. So, the International Financial Institution or IFI discussed by our classmates dalibeth.
And my assigned topic is to discuss about the International Financial Institution. What is it or what is the International Financial Institution? The International Financial Institution, it is a financial institution that has been established or chartered by more than one country and hence is a subject to international law. So, in many parts of the world, financial institution plays a major role in the social and the economic development programs nations with developing or transitional economies. So, what is the financial institution? Financial institution is a company engaged in the business of dealing with financial and monetary transactions such as deposits, loans, investments, and currency exchange. What is the examples of deposits? Deposit examples is savings. The loans examples of loans is housing loans and any different kinds of loans that is the part of example of loans. Then the investments. Investment is the example of investment funds and currency exchange example of if you have a dollar then pabayloan ni mo kwarta sa Pilipinas mo na siya example sa currency exchange. Next is the Bretton Woods system. Ang Bretton Woods system namugna kini niadtong World War II. Ang Bretton Woods system mo siya ang nagkahiusa nga pamalaod o polisiya that provided international currency exchange rates. So major economies had suffered a result of the First World War, the Great Depression of the 1930s, and the Second World War due to the fear of recurrence of lack of nation-state. Cooperation political, unrest reforming the world economy and ensuring global financial settlement. So the Bretton Woods system is commonly understood to refer the international monetary regime that prevailed from the end of the World War II until the early of 1970s. So adunay duha ka bangko na nambigit sa Bretton Woods system that are the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. So the Bretton Woods system was the history's first example of the fully negotiated monetary order intended to govern currency relations among sovereign states. In principle, the regime was designed to combine binding legal obligations with multi-decision-making conducted through an international organization, or the IMF. So, um, as the world's reserve currency from 1944 to 1971, all major world currencies were pegged to the dollar, while the dollar itself was pegged to the gold, and that's why our relationship popularly known as the gold standard. So, in practice, the initial scheme as well as its subsequent development and ultimate demise were directly dependent on the preferences and policies of its most powerful member of the United States. That's why, to reform the fund of countries of due to the World War II, IMF or International Monetary Fund was created to set and stabilize the exchange rates of the money na nawala. In 1946, the members of IMF needs to deposit some of their gold so that the member sa IMF nga if they unable to the value of 10% aron mapalig-on ang karaysa nga membro sa estado. So kinahanglan gyud na aduna sila 10% maidugang. Next is Bretton Woods established a system of payments based on the dollar, which defined all currencies in relation to the dollar. So, ang pagbayad daw ingon sa ang pamaagi daw sa Bretton Woods system, ang pagbayad pinasukad sa dolyar nga nagpasabot sa tanan nga salapi nga adunay kalabutan sa dolyar. Unang, the world currency are the standard to which every other currency was pegged. So the Bretton Woods system was the first system used to control the value of money between different countries. It meant that each country had to have a monetary policy that kept the exchange rate of its currency within a fixed value plus or minus 1% in terms of growth. Is what is international financial institution and its classification? People also ask that what is the international financial institution and its classification? Classification. The best known of IFS na established after World War II to assess the reconstructions of Europe and provided mechanism for international cooperation in managing the global financial system. That they include the World Bank, the IMF, and the International Finance Corporation. Ano man kasagaran nga ang bangko mo gisaligan og kwarta sa tibuok kalibutan because a bank is a financial institution licensed and to receive deposits and make loans because it provides financial services such as wealth management, currency exchange, and safe deposit. There are two classifications of financial institution. First is depository institution. Depository institutions include commercial banks, thrift institution, and credit union. For example of depository institution is savings bank, commercial bank, savings and loans association or credit unions that is legally allowed to accept monetary deposit from consumer. Mo na siya ang gi-allowed sa bangko. Next is non-depository institution. Non-depository institution include insurance companies, pension funds, brokerage firms, and finance companies. Examples of the non-depository, muna siya ang microloans organization, insurance firm, venture capitalist, currency exchange, because these serves that are not suited to banks, because serve as competition to banks and specialize in sectors or group. Muna siya ang di dapat, muna siya ang dili suited sa bangko. Next is the importance of financial institution in our lives because that's why importante kini sa atong kinabuhi para kay nagtudlo kini sa ato unsaon pag-manage sa kwarta and with more confidence but also have a better chance of handling the inevitable ups and downs of our financial. So kabalo ta mo manage sa kwarta kung gamay ba kini o dako kabalo ta mo handle kay if kabalo ta mo handle para ma-secure ato ang future. Then by understanding how to prevent and manage issues as they arise. Yes, because financial literacy is important to us because it equips us with the knowledge and skills. So we need to manage money effectively because without it, our financial decisions and the actions we take or don't take a lack of solid foundation for success. So kung kapalutan mo tipig sa atong kwarta, for sure ang ato ang future or ang ato ang financial malambo pag yun. So I hope you guys you have learned a lot from my topic today. By the way, I'm Miss Dalibeth from BSF 1B reporting.
So, the world major economy has suffered as a result of the First World War. The Great Depression of 1930s as a Second World War due to the fear of the recurrence of lack of nation-state cooperation, political unrest, and economic chaos, the elimination of trade barriers, and the free flow of capital between nations and become the goal of reforming the world economy and ensuring the global financial settlement. So the Bretton Woods created a currency depression in terms of the gold value. For example, the US dollar of 35 page by US per ounce of a gold is the same 175 Nicaraguan Cordobas per ounce of gold. Second, two official monetary authorities in each other country, a central bank or its equivalent, agree to exchange their own currency, agreed to exchange rate for those other countries plus minus of margin or the percent of Bruto 2007 of 106 and 7. So the next topic is discussed by our classmates July Bactol.
Part of a science topic, the market integration. This made foreign trade possible for the currencies of the countries involved at or near the exchange rate or halaga ng palitan without the need for any external interferences. It means pagkagambala. Thirdly, the International Monetary Fund was created to stabilize it means patatagin, and overseas exchange rate. Pangasiwaan ng halaga ng palitan. In 1946, 40 states became IMF. The IMF was forced to accept currency par. So ang IMF daw, force it means ipilit upang tanggapin ang pera sa par values, and member states were unable to change the value by more than 10%. If a currency was stabilized, the IMF was prepared to lend the money. So ang IMF daw, it means ang IMF daw naghanda daw to lend it means pagpautang sa kwarta needed to stabilize its currency to member states. Fourthly, the member states decide to lift all limitations at least eventually. Pinakamaliit na kalaunan. Eventually, it means pinakamaliit na kalaunan. And that's all. Thank you.
So,
Part of a science.
the World War Trade Organization. The World Trade Organization or WTO discussed by
And I am
Luigi.
Luigi Matos from BSF1B. The General Agreement on Tariff and Trade and the World Trade Organization. Another structure born out of Bretton Woods was the General Tariff and Trade Agreement, developed in year 1947 by Goldstein. The GATT was a forum for 23 members countries to meet through multinational trade agreements. It focused on commercial goods, and it is served in 1995 when the World Trade Organization superseded it. Although GATT concentrates on trade and commodities, the World Trade Organization also assumed responsibility for the increasingly important service sector. The General Agreement of Tariff and Trade, or GATT, was a merely a venue for meetings of country representatives. The World Trade Organization is an autonomous organization. GATT has been considered more appropriate by the US, the world countries, than the International Trade Organization, or ITO. In 1947, a number of initial trade agreements.
So,
I am Luigi Mat.
the short presentation about the market integration. What is market? This is where exchange of goods, service takes place. So, integration is a set of affairs and process involving attempts to combine separate national economic into larger economic regions. So, now, what is market integration? Market integration is an indicator that explains how much different market related to each other. It occurs when a price among the different location or related goods follow the similar patterns of the known period. First example is the Coca-Cola Company. It reaches over 200 countries around the world. Its flight to market will be leveraged on a low price with higher projected stocks, their business. Types of integration, positive and negative. So the positive integration, this refers to the creation of a common sovereignty through the modification of existing institutions. Second, negative integration. So, negative integration is focused on price elimination barriers excluding humans, when supply chain aspects are eliminated. So, parental trade agreement involves clear trade barriers between those countries that sign the agreement. Free trade around barriers to trade. Customer union countries agree that various countries or non-satisfier trade goods and equilibrium. Economic union, the highest form of economic integration, the common market. So, for us to understand what is market integration, market integration, it shows the relationship of the firm in the market that extend or of integration influence the conduct of firms or consequently their marketing efficiency. The behavior of highly integrated market is a different form that the integrated disintegrated market. Market is different to exact extent integration and therefore there is a variation in their degree of efficiency. So hope you understand our presentation about market integration. So that's all. Thanks for watching.